Ready. Play.
Iga, forehand long, and she wins. Noskova's won it.
Wow.
The world number 1 and top seed is out.
No, I know. Listen, I was saying just a few hours ago, I was like, this is the one that Iga can probably feel a bit more relaxed about compared to the previous 2 rounds. And we were looking at Iga's potential run to the final, and we were looking at all these banana skins, but none of them included Linda Noskova.
Yeah. And they were.
Yeah, and now it's anyone's final. It's anyone's final. I do think, though, that, you know, if you're Arina Sabalenka, now it's on the other side of the drill, but if you're Arina Sabalenka right now, and I know there's the Coco Gauff question, and Gauff, of course, can beat Arina in the semi-final, but look at that emotion.
Huge for the Czech player. Absolutely huge.
So, Iga...
I know what you mean. If you were Coco Gauff or Arina Sabalenka, and probably mainly Arina Sabalenka, you're like, no Rybakina, no Świątek in that final. All I have to do is get there, and I will be the favourite whoever I play. Yes, please.
So, Iga Świątek since the French Open, and bearing in mind we're talking about, you know, the best player in the world and all the other accolades that she's had since the French Open. I think it's Wimbledon fourth round Wimbledon, was it, Damien?
I mean, I entered mid sentence, so I don't even know.
Sorry, okay. Fourth. I can't remember if she lost in the fourth round of the quarterfinal at Wimbledon. I think it's fourth round. Quarterfinals. Okay, so quarterfinal.
She saved 2 match points against Bencic.
Yeah, fourth round US Open, and now third round in Australia, which, just for someone of such stature, is a disappointing run. Bearing in mind all the other stuff that she's picked up since then, WTA finals, and she won a title, I'm going to say, in Tokyo, I think it was. And in fact, she was unbeaten, of course.
Beijing,
sorry. She was unbeaten, of course, since Tokyo, is it then? It was Tokyo where she lost.
Beijing. Maybe. Yes. I mean, yeah. Tokyo, she lost to Kudermetova.
Yeah, Tokyo, she lost, yeah. To Kudermetova. And, yeah. I mean, I guess there will be some questions afterwards about the injury that seemed to appear at the end of the second set against Collins. I don't know if you heard about this knee strapping or saw it, Damien, that she was
wearing that at the United Cup as well in some third sets. I do think that we might be getting some talk about this. There is definitely like it's definitely going to be a thing, because in the third set she did look extremely flat. Like, she was only really able to pull herself up for patches for that game when she broke back, which was like the best of the match. But in the long run, she didn't really have much intensity. You know, that doesn't take away from how well Noskova played. I have to say that, like, usually when you have a draw that's like so tough round by round, you're gonna run into some opponent who's like weaker, or you're on the day, or you're gonna run into someone who just doesn't get into, like, there's gonna be someone else. Someone doesn't get to that round. So Iga didn't really have a let-off here, but it's not an accident that everyone was picking against her. It's just that her game is very vulnerable on these courts. Everyone knew that they have a very clear target to attack. They went in and they almost did it in Kenin's case in the first set. They almost did it in Collins's case, of course, in the third set. And here, I mean, there was still an opportunity for Iga to clinch. There's a claw her way back into it, of course, at 4-5. Noskova also very strong on serve today. Obviously, she's a really high prospect. I don't remember if it was Talking Show, if it was on a Talking Tennis show or somewhere else recently, where I compared her to Marc Layal, and not because they are similarly ranked or are similar prospects even, but just in the sense that they pretty much have it all already, and like the only real way they should progress from now is just to pull it off more consistently. To like once they start actually, putting in the work every single match, that's when you can have a real high rise. Of course, for Layal, that would be like breaking the top 100. For Noskova, that would be like breaking the top 20 or something. But yeah, I don't think it's actually an accident that everyone was speaking against Iga. She definitely left a lot of space to pressure her here. And yeah, I think for her to win the Australian Open, for now, at least in the future, it will require something similar like the US Open, where, yeah, she wins a few tough matches. It's not always perfect, but then by the time she gets to the second week, she might have actually played opponents she would have been more comfortable against. Like, let's imagine she plays Goff in the final. Let's imagine she plays Qin Wen Zheng in the semis, or whoever else from that quarter, really. Let's imagine she plays Yastremska in the quarters. And suddenly we are talking about opponents she's probably equipped to handle. Although Yastremska, if she was just blasting the ball, maybe. But yeah, I think this could have been a similar story to the US Open. It's just that she never got there, of course. And yeah, it's never going to be her favorite slam. I don't think it's like particularly disappointing, but of course the win streak is gone, and right now she just gets a lot of time to recover. I was sort of thinking, watching this match, that probably after this we're not gonna see her try to play both Doha and Dubai, just heal up the knee or whatever. Now she gets a bit more time to do it. I don't know if that will change anything, but yeah, what else was I gonna say? Yeah, nothing else really. I mean, the serve still is a piece of work. And especially when it doesn't go in, like the break in the
on the serve even? Does it seem like she's regressed even?
I doubt it. I mean, the second serve was always a big issue. The first wasn't really, but you gotta try to make it in at least, once per game, not like in the 3-all game in the third, which I think is mostly her getting tight. And Elena in the chat is talking about Iga upping her game since the WTA finals, more net, more variety. And where is that net and variety today? Like, when she went to the net, she looked like a deer in the headlights again. And I think in general, she was so nervy as well in the third set. That wasn't the type of Świątek Collins game where she wins the last 5 games with pretty ridiculous
consistency.
Yeah, just pretty ridiculous consistency, I guess, and also just the fact that she is able to pull it off again, just against the wall, let's say. But she had some tough moments there as well when she was just constantly rushing. And I think here, yeah, the 3-all game was especially telling. Like, she just couldn't keep 2 free balls in play. She played a little better on breakpoints. The second breakpoint especially was a great point, finished with a forehand down the line. But yeah, just couldn't really keep balls in play whatsoever. So yeah, I think that's definitely. I think that was definitely a pretty rough showing. We'll see how it impacts her the rest of the year. I mean, we'll see how the knee issue will be, and how if that's actually severe or not. If that just maybe requires some time to rest up. But this Australian Open, she was very fragile, and eventually someone managed to pull it off.
Yeah, I mean the gap that she has to the mid-ranking opponents, let's say, and even sometimes the upper-ranking opponents, as we saw at the WTA finals at times last year, it's huge. And yet, this Australian Open, the last 2 Australian Opens, and I include the one where she got to the semi-finals, the US Open as well last year, and also even when she got to the final. The 2 hard court slams in the end, it's not like she has a hard court. I mean, she'll probably end up at Indian Wells, and we'll watch her in the first 3 matches, and she'll be like 1-0-3 or something like, and she'll just be knocking opponents aside. And yet, when it comes to the slam, and actually sometimes it can even be easier at a slam in the first. I mean, she got a rough draw, I guess, but I don't know if I will come to you in a second, James, but I don't know if you've got any thoughts on this, Damien, what I'm saying. That, do you know what I mean? This gap, the bagels and the bakeries and all the rest of it that we see across the hard court season. I know we see it on clay, and that makes sense. And we go, okay, fine, boom, that's going to be a clay thing. That's fine. But we see it on the hard courts. We see it at Indian Wells in the second, third, and fourth rounds there. But we don't see it in Australia or even New York.
Oh, I got lost. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think Australia, for example, the court is a fast court. I know Miami is, and she's won there before, but we don't see this gap at the slams on the hard courts that we see in other hard court tournaments across the globe.
We do sometimes, because last year, for example, she still wins a match like almost a double bagel at the Australian Open. We do it sometimes in the early rounds. It's just that this event, like no one really allowed her a match like this, right? You get Noskova, you get Collins, you get Kenin, you get players with extremely high peak who are also capable of exposing her weaknesses. So she was kind of there to be taken. Eventually, the third opponent does it. But yeah, I think we've said it many times that out of the slams right now, basically only one truly suits her. And out of the WTA 1000s, there's a lot that she can easily be winning, playing 80% of her best stuff. So yeah, it is a bit of a problem for her going forwards, especially in years when she won't be winning the French Open, which I suppose that it will happen at some point, especially if she keeps putting too much pressure on herself. This year, of course, there's basically 2 French Opens, 2 events where she's like the odds-on favorite to win. We'll see how she handles that. But yeah, winning the other slams is still going to take some special effort from her. And even if often we sort of pick her for the title or say that she's the biggest favorite or say that she should get to the semifinals, quarters, we don't actually think that she's going to beat, I don't know, Sabalenka at the Australian Open or that she's going to beat Rybakina if they play, right? And that's, I guess, the main issue for now for her. Who is Noskova playing first? Is it Yastremska? No, Yastremska would have been yes, Svitolina or Golubic. Yastremska Azarenka is the other part of that quarter. Yeah, so Svitolina or Golubic. And yeah, I guess I finished my sentence there.
James, okay, I'm going to read this list of names. I know we mentioned it earlier, but Noskova, Svitolina, Golubic, Azarenka, Yastremska, Paolini, Kalinskaya, Qin Wencheng, or Dodin. Which one of those is getting to the final?
Oh, it's a good question. I'm tempted to say Azarenka. I'm thinking now that it will most likely. I think it will get a Stitovina Azarenka quarterfinal. I think Qin Wencheng will get to the other quarterfinal, and then we'll get a Qin Wencheng versus either a Stitovina or Azarenka semifinal. And I got Azarenka just because she really likes it in Australia, and she isn't going to be coming up against a Sabalenka or a Rybakina or an Iga in that match. So I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go Azarenka now to reach the Australian Open final.
What are the bookies probably saying, Damien? I mean, they might be going Qin Wencheng. They might be.
About what's the final?
Like, I mean, it's very, very quick and right now because.
I mean, you're not gonna get any odds right now because Noskova just beat Świątek, and there's also Svitolina Golubic coming up. So they don't
update the odds at this point.
Well, not yet. I mean, they have to,
Damien, you're ruining the fun of it all.
No, but I can think of it and tell you who they will.
Let me see if I can see anything on Sky Bet. Give me a sec.
But you can't. Do they stop taking bets at this point just because there's a match in action, or what? I don't understand.
No, they won't.
Yeah, I mean, Noskova just beat Świątek. I mean, how are they going to update it in 3 minutes?
They can't update it in 3 minutes.
Outrights to win the half or like to get to the final. Yeah, I very much doubt it.
Oh, here we go. So I've got so I went for outright to win it, which could still tell us who they think will get to the final. So they've got, of course, the top 2 being Sabalenka and Goff. They've now got the third one being Qin Wencheng. She's I think it's 10-1, and then they've got Victoria Azarenka at 11-1, Stitovina at 12-1, Noskova at 13-1, along with Mira Andreeva, and then they've got Anisimova, Barbara Krejcikova at 41-1, and then Kalinskaya at 51-1.
That's so close, by the way. Like I would have expected probably a bigger edge for Zheng and Azarenka over. Oh, actually, and Svitolina over Noskova. Yeah, I would say Noskova is a little high on that list, definitely. But Azarenka, Svitolina, Zheng, I don't think there's a big deal of difference there, really.
To be honest with you, one of the reasons I asked you the question was, well, first of all, we don't know if Svitolina is going to go for the next round, but she has a breakup. But one of the reasons why I mentioned all those names, James, is just because they're all fairly evenly balanced. I have a really difficult. I have a lot of trouble imagining that Paolini gets to that final, and maybe Dodin as well.
By the way, why not?
Kalinskaya can beat Paolini for sure, and Kalinskaya could beat Qin Wencheng, for example.
Yeah, and could beat Azarenka, Svitolina, or
right,
whoever. Really, Like she's
Yeah.
actually a threat for the final.
The big question we've got to ask though is that, you know, imagine it is going to be a Sabalenka or a Goff in that final on that side of the draw. Who on this side of the draw could at least make that final a competition? Can make it a competitive final.
Against Goff, most of them. Against Sabalenka, few.
Who would you go for?
Svitolina could easily beat Goff. She lost to her in 3 sets recently. That was mostly physical, though.
Azarenka could make a game against Goff. The thing is, against Goff is not. I mean, I know she's just beaten someone 6-2, 6-love, but that's not going to happen very often in Coco Gauff's career. Even
and she was playing Alicia Parks. Like, she had no control over the result of the match, as everyone doesn't against Alicia Parks. Like, you just get onto the court and she either hits a winner or an unforced error, most of the time an unforced error, and you just try to scramble. And but against Sabalenka,
everyone in the bottom half can compete with each other. I mean, I think Coco Gauff will win the 4th round, but I have a difficult.
She's got an easy quarter too.
She's got a really easy quarter, and that's very lucky for Coco. But I'm having some difficult imaginations of Coco Gauff lifting this title as well, because I just don't see it for one reason or another. I know she had a good tournament in Auckland in terms of winning the title there, but that was in 3 sets, as you said, over Svitolina.
We're not going to apologize because she's still not beating Sabalenka on these courts. And unless Sabalenka has like a major, massive mental, breakdown, like at the US Open, where basically she was up, then of course Coco starts running everything down. But still, I don't know who lets her back into it. But I still don't believe in Goff beating Sabalenka here. But what I'm trying to say is that probably against Sabalenka, you need to have someone who like responds to her at least and like takes away some of the first strike tennis. So Azarenka, I guess. Maybe. Who else were we talking about? Qinwen Zheng. Oh, I don't know. This has been an awful matchup for Qinwen. And the same with Svitolina. I don't think this is going to work out. So I guess Azarenka would be the best bet to beat Sabalenka. But we might see a pretty horrible final, actually.
Obviously, yes. What all I'm wanting is to make sure that we want to make sure that the final will be at least some sort of competition which will be entertaining and not just a procession for one player or other being done in an hour. Because that's something I don't think
it could be if it's Sabalenka, but it probably won't be if it's Coco. And by the way, Jean in the chat, fair enough, but it's not happened yet. Jean, she's in the 4th round. Jean saying, well, you should apologize to me. I think I told you that Coco's going to win this.
Of course, we're being a little too harsh.
Yeah.
But
listen,
we know that. We are aware of the fact that we are being a little too harsh and that Coco will actually have some sort of a winning chance against Sabalenka. I just feel pretty strongly about the edge to Arena, just as I did at the US Open. I think that edge was there. After all, it just takes the players take the court and they have to actually execute it. And she was only doing that for a set and a half.
Okay. Wonderful that you could join us, Damien, for that latter stage of the show. And James, obviously a fairly lengthy stint for you. Big thanks for you to join as well for this early morning for me, and not so early morning right now for you, James, although it was when you joined us. And I'm going to get some sleep. Damien, I think you're going to be back for last ball with Anastasia and Miles in a few hours from now. After the Rod Laver Arena match, that I can see Boris Becker appearing on my screen. Even though I'm not in Germany, I still get to see his wonderful face, and he's wearing a scarf as well, which is if he's back in Germany. Anyway, I'm mumbling now, so let's get it done. And cheers to Elena as well. Great to see you in the chat. First time for a little while that I've seen you there. And as well, Jean, we love having you on board, even if it's just to say that we're going to be wrong regarding Coco and remind us of this alleged semi-final problem for Jean. Maybe Jean has a semi-final problem too. I don't know. We'll have to see you in a Grand Slam semi-final one day, Jean. But anyway, wonderful. And James, big thank you, and Damien too.
No worries. I was glad to be able to share my jubilation of Cam Norrie's brilliant.
Norrie, Damien is a huge Cam Norrie fan as well. I know that Damien was all over that Cam Norrie Casper Ruud match because he was pumped. for that.
I mean, whoever was in the fourth round wasn't really gonna change my life in any way. The fourth round. Who are they playing against? Can you?
Well, they'll play over Zverev or Mickelson.
Oh, okay. That's at least slightly more interesting than like Fritz Tsitsipas, I guess. But yeah, it's still not particularly exciting.
Well, I got a sense of self-gratification, which I'll live with me at least for the next few hours until I get the dread of whoever he ends up having to play in the fourth round. And that's the way the tennis goes every single week.
Tsitsipas is beating Fritz, by the way.
It doesn't matter. Either is losing to Djokovic. So like literally they could not play the round and also not play the quarterfinals. And I would be okay with that. Like just split the points. They should make a petition to the ITF, you know? They should make a petition that we just want to split the points, we want to split the prize money.
Right.
Can you share what they call Alexander? What Sasha? I mean, Sasha is literally Russian, like short for Alexander.
Okay, yeah. Alexander is abbreviated to Sasha in
and the
Russian.
Same for women's names as well.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, time to get a bit of rest and speak to you all soon. And everyone else, see you, James. And everyone else, remember to do this.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.